our assembly.
Louder, please, Farhan. The ones that won't hear you through their speakers, will they?
Welcome to our assembly.
Louder, Farhan. You're not trying. Project your voice. Take a big breath and louder.
Welcome to our assembly.
For goodness sake, Farhan. Louder, louder.
Welcome to our class assembly!
Now, Farhan, there's no need to be silly.
Welcome to our class assembly!
We are all excited to share the things we have learned in school with you.
That was a poem called Louder by Roger Stevens, performed by Mr. Fawaz, Usman and Farhan.
We performed lots of poetry during Poetry Week at the start of the year, and we would be excited to share some with you.
We will also learn about Macbeth in English.
Don't say its name!
What, Macbeth?
Yes, don't you know it's unlucky to say its name before a performance?
Oh, really?
Yes, it's a famous superstition. You can call it the Scottish play instead.
Well, okay then. The Scottish play is one of Shakespeare's greatest works. It's all about a Scottish warrior and his inflated plan to take over Scotland.
Shakespeare's plays can be described as comedies, histories, or tragedies. Fine. The Scottish play is a tragedy.
This means that something awful will happen at the end, usually characters passing away or being murdered.
At the beginning of the play, three witches tell the audience a prophecy that sets the stage for the drama to unfold.
Double, toil and trouble, fire, burn and cauldron bubble, fillet of a fenny snake,
In the cauldron, boil and bake.
eye of a newt and toe of a frog,
Wool of a bat and tongue of a dog. Adder's fork and blindworm's sting.
lizard's legs and an owlet's wing,
For a charm of powerful trouble.
like a hell broth, boil and bubble, double, toil and trouble, fire, burn and cauldron bubble,
Shakespeare is one of the greatest writers ever, and studying his use of language has been fascinating.
Did he not he is credited with inventing over 1,000 words?
We were inspired by his writing, and particularly the Song of the Three Witches, so we decided to write our own versions.
Double, toil and trouble, fire, burn and cauldron bubble. Add a pinch of a pig's brain, don't forget the horse's mane. Mix the snot of a fat troll, blend in whiskers of a mole. Combine poison python's tongue with a gruesome demon's lung. For a charm of powerful trouble, like a hellbus, boil and bubble.
Double, toil and trouble, fire, burns and cauldron bubble. Add a tall centaur's horn, also a pig's liver who is newly born. The skin of a python that is very thin. Add mouse guts from a bin, a psychopat's tongue, and an obese fawn's lung. For a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell of boil bubble. Double, toil and trouble, fire, burning cauldron bubble. Add a leviathan tentacle filled with blood that's cardinal, then sprinkle in a phoenix wing, one that was a valiant king, and 69 litres of blood from summer. It's not 100 litres, that's a bummer. For a charm of powerful trouble, like a hellbroth boiling bubble.
In geography, we have been learning about the Amazon rainforest.
There are 4 different layers of the rainforest.
The emergent layer is the highest layer of the rainforest, as the tallest trees, and there's a lot of sunlight there.
The next layer is called the canopy. It is full of leaves, branches and vines. 90% of the animals that live in the rainforest call the canopy home because it has lots of food for them to eat.
Then we have the understory. Only 2 to 15% of the sunlight reaches here because the canopy above is so thick.
Finally, we have the first floor. It is very dark and very few plants grow down here as the soil is not very fertile.
We conducted our own research into animals in the rainforest and found some mind-blowing facts.
Ancient sloths years ago, known as Megatherium, could grow as large as an ancient elephant. They became extinct around 10,000 years ago. Sloths are 3 times stronger than us.
Jaguars can hit a blazing top speed of 50 miles per hour.
Did you know that crocodiles are closely related to birds and dinosaurs?
Scarlet macaws can live up to 75 or even 90 years.
Let's share another poem,
This is called From a Railway Carried by Robbie Louis Stevenson.
performed by Shoria, Omar, Deshita and Yasin.
Faster than fairies, faster than witches.
Bridges and houses, hedges and ditches.
And charging along like troops in a battle. All the meadows, the horses and cattle. All the sights of hill and plain. Flying thick as driving rain. And ever again in a wink of an eye. Painted stations whistle by. Here's a child that clambers and scrambles. All by himself and gathering bambles. Here's a tramp who stands and gazes. Here's the green for stringing the daisies. Here's a cart running the road. Lumping along with man and load. Here's a mill and there's a river. Each glimpse gone forever.
In history, we have been learning about the Mayan.
Did you know around 2,400 years ago, a new tribe called the Maya appeared in Mesoamerica, modern Central America?
They were incredibly clever people. They built huge, beautiful cities in the rainforest without any metal tools. They used tools made from wood, stone, and shells.
Although Mayans were advanced in engineering, their society was full of inequality.
The society of the Mayans was split into 7 different groups.
The kings were the most important members of the Maya society. They were incredibly wealthy and used their money to purchase jewels and clothing. The Mayans thought that the kings were chosen by the gods.
The second most important groups were priests and nobles. They were the most educated members of society and worked as scribes and astrologers. They would live in very grand houses and have comfortable lives.
Palace officials were the next most important. They were in charge of making sure day-to-day life in the city ran smoothly.
Next were craftsmen and merchants. Although they had lower status, they were still important to society. The craftsmen would make things like pottery, jewelry, and wood carvings, and merchants would buy and sell goods. Then there were farmers. They lived simple lives in small settlements outside the city. They would grow crops like corn, cotton, and sunflower seeds for sale.
Towards the bottom of society were laborers. They had to do all the dirty, difficulties jobs the more important people didn't know what to do.
At the very bottom of the hierarchies were slaves. They were forced to do whatever their owner said, and they had no rights at all. They were usually captured soldiers from the battle with other cities.
As well as learning about the Mayans, we also created jaguars.
Jaguars were very important to the Maya, and they built temples to the creatures. The jaguar was thought to be the ruler of the underworld and a symbol of night, sun, and darkness.
Now let's have another poem performed by Sean, Amrita, Lucas, Arya, Khadija Sajid and Sadiqa. This is on New Year's Day by Ken Nesbitt.
year ago, I kicked a rock and broke my toe. Ow.
As February came around, I slipped on ice and smacked the ground.
In March, I tripped and skinned my knee. In April, met an angry bee.
In May, a baseball hit my hip. In June, I bit my lower lip.
I banged my elbow in July. When August came, I poked my eye. In September, fell out of bed. October's when I hurt my head. November had a nasty fall.
December, I crashed into the wall.
So you can truly not believe
How glad I am it's New Year's Eve.
although I was so annoyed last year. At least I know what to avoid. Beginning of January the 1st.
Goodbye last year, you were the worst.
Bonjour en français, nous avons l'apprentissage du transport.
Huh? Can you translate that one for us, Monsieur Bopati?
In French, we've been learning about transport.
Oh.
So I'll say a mode of transport and you have to respond it in French. Ready?
Hey.
In French, not Japanese.
Pardon.
Bus.
Autobus.
Underground train.
Metro.
Bicycle.
Vélo.
Scooter.
Trottinette.
On foot.
Pied.
Car.
Voiture.
Très bien, très bien. Now I would like some people to demonstrate how a conversation works on how you travel to school. Come up to the front.
Comment vas-tu à l'école?
Je vais à l'école à vélo. Comment vas-tu à l'école? Je vais à l'école en autobus.
C'est fantastique. Now let's have another poem.
This is How Much Due by Ken Nesbitt.
Performed by Aham, Samantha, Muhammad Hussain and Ahmed.
In PSHE, we've been looking at dreams and goals. As long as I'm here, there'll be no goals. Oh, but not those type of goals. Goals for the future.
Oh!
Stop this in the class.
We discuss our plans for the future and what we'd like to achieve.
When I go to sleep, I dream of being an engineer who builds houses.
When I go to sleep, I dream of being a teacher.
When I go to sleep, I dream of being a doctor who helps people make better.
We also thought about what we need to do to achieve those goals.
In RE, we've been learning about sources of...
I love ketchup and barbecue sauce.
Not those kind of sources, sources of wisdom.
Oh! During Interfaith Day, we learned about Taoism. Taoism is an ancient tradition of philosophy and religious belief that originated in China 2,000 years ago.
The word Taoism means the way. It is a religion of unity and opposite. This is called yin and yang.
The principle of yin and yang sees the world as filled with complementary forces, light and dark, action and non-action, calm and busy, and so on.
Time for another poem. This is I Like to See a Thunderstorm by Elizabeth Coatsworth, performed by Lukman, Dawood and Ilma.
I like to see a thunderstorm.
A thunderstorm.
A blunderstorm.
I like to see a black and slow
Come stumbling down the hills.
I like to hear a thunderstorm.
A plunderstorm.
A wonderstorm.
Roll loudly at our house
And shake the windowsills.
In PE this year, we have been taking part in swimming lessons at Fulwell Cross Leisure Centre. During our first lesson, we were all assessed and put into different groups depending on our abilities.
Some of us were provided with flotation aids such as noodles.
We have all gained confidence in the water, and some of us have even moved up to the next group.
And some of us have been jumping into the full-size pool.
Imani and I were chosen to represent Christchurch at the Red Ridge Cross Country event.
We travelled by coach to Fairlock Waters along with other cross-country students in here Everyone did really well, even though it was wet, cold, and horrible weather.
Out of all the 70 kids, I was the first year 5 for Christchurch, third for Christchurch, and the 14th boy overall.
I finished first in year 5, third overall, and second in Christchurch girls.
This term in art we have been learning about an American sculptor called Claes Oldenburg.
He often creates giant sculpture of food, and we are going to be making our own food sculptures too.
As part of our creative process, we have researchers work and practice different mark making techniques and close observations.
We created continuous line drawings in both pen and pencil. These were especially tricky as we had to keep our pencil on the paper for the entire time we were drawing, and for some of our drawings we were not allowed to look at the paper.
It was really challenging, and we created some curious drawings with unique line, shape and form.
It also helps to focus our observational skills and help us to look at the objects in different details.
Here's another poem for you. This is called To Mrs. Butler by Alan Aldberg. This is performed by Imani, Justin, Tanzim and Maya.
Please, Mrs. Butler, this boy do keep on copying my work, miss. What shall I do?
Go and sit in the hall, dear. Go and sit in the sink. Take your books on the roof, madam. Do whatever you think.
Please, Mrs. Butler, this boy Derek Drew keeps taking my rubber, miss. What shall I do?
Keep it in your hand, dear. Hide it up your vest. So as if you like, madam. Do what you think's best.
Please, Miss Butler, this boy Drew keeps calling me rude names, so what should I do?
Lock yourself in the cupboard, dear. Run away to sea. Do whatever you can, my flower, but don't ask me.
At the start of the year in science, we learnt about solid, liquids and gases. We call these the states of matter.
We have learned that although these different things are made up of particles, these particles behave in different ways.
A solid's particles are very close together, which means they can't move at all. All they can do is vibrate. It looks a bit like this.
A liquid's particles are close together, but the bonds are weaker. A liquid can flow and take the shape of a container it is in.
Finally, we have gases. The particles in gases move around freely and we cannot see them in the air. They do not take the shape of their container and look a bit like this.
In PSHE, we've been looking at dreams and goals. As long as I'm here, there will be no goals. But not those type of goals. Goals from the future.
We discuss our plans for the future and what we would like to achieve.
When I go to sleep, I dream of being an engineer who builds houses.
When I go to sleep, I dream of being a teacher.
When I go to sleep, I dream of being a doctor and help people get better.
We also thought about what we need to do to achieve those goals.
To become a judge, I will have to follow these steps. I will have to study hard in primary and secondary school and go to university to read law. Then I will have to practice as a lawyer for many years until I can become a judge.
To become a teacher, I will have to work hard at school and then go to university. I will have to complete a course that gives me qualified teacher status. Then I will be able to apply to schools and hopefully specialize in being an Arabic teacher.
To become a chemical engineer, I will have to work hard in school and complete a chemical engineering degree. Then I will be able to apply to different companies and start working on experiments with different chemicals.
I would like to become an actor. I will have to work hard and gain lots of experience performing in school. Then I can apply for drama school to perfect my acting skills and gain an agent to help me find different roles.
To become a doctor, I will have to study hard at school and get 3 science at A level. Then I will have to complete a medical degree at university before beginning to work at a hospital.
We just have time for one more poem. The School Kid Rap by John Foster, performed by Adam, Alif, Zadar and M. Muhammad.
5.
Miss was at the blackboard writing her chalk. Then she suddenly stopped in the middle of her talk. She snapped her fingers. Snap, snap, snap. Pay attention, children. I'll teach you how to rap.
She picked up her pencil, she started to tap. All together, children, now clap, clap, clap. Just get the rhythm, just get the beat. Drum it with your fingers and stamp it with your feet.
That's right, children, keep in time. Now we got the rhythm, we just need the rhyme. This school is called Mr. Reese's, definitely not Ace. Strut your stuff with a smile on your face.
Snap those fingers, tap those toes. Do it like they do it on those video shows. Flap it, slap it, clap, snap, clap. Let's all do the School Kid Rap!